So this is our review of Frisco National Park Campground in just outside of Hatteras, North Carolina, in the town Frisco.
Yep, in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So just a quick overview of the Outer Banks and the campgrounds available here. There are lots and lots of private campgrounds to choose from, but we're going to talk about the National Park Campground. There are 4 National Park campgrounds. They are Oregon Inlet at the top of the Outer Banks, then Cape Point, Frisco, and then Ocracoke campgrounds. Now, Oregon Inlet has 120 sites. 23 of those are electric and water, and the remainder are dry. Electric sites are $35 a night, and the dry sites are $28 a night.
Cape Point has 202 sites. They are all dry camping, and it's $20 a night.
Frisco Campground has 127 sites. They're all dry camping, and they're $28 a night.
And Ocracoke has 137 sites. They're all dry camping, and it's $28 a night.
Now, the length restriction on all 4 of those national parks is 40 feet. So we stayed in the Frisco Campground for 5 nights, April of 2019.
First impressions of the park: it's a beautiful park. You're actually camping in the dunes, which gives it a little bit more of a elevation change. So you, like where we're camping is kind of down a little valley, and then you can drive around the campground. It goes up to a higher point. It's a mix of sand and sparse grass, and we found with the dogs that there are quite a few sand spurs here, so be cautious of that.
There are some short, scraggly trees and vegetation, but nothing really big enough to provide a lot of shade. But it's got that real wild North Carolina coastal beauty to it for sure. The campground is a large campground. There are 202 sites, and they're all well spaced. Some sites are nicer and more private than others. Reservations are not site specific, so you can choose from what's available when you get here.
Most sites are tent or RV, so you can use it for either, and there is a 40-foot max on your RV size.
If your trailer and tow vehicle won't fit on that parking pad, that paved parking pad, they do ask that you move your tow vehicle to auxiliary parking. They don't want you parking in the grass.
It is all dry camping. You can use generators between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. And obviously solars, if you have that, is fine.
Yeah, solar, actually, this is a great campground for solar because there's not a lot of shade and there's plenty of sun. All sites are paved and relatively level. I mean, from what we can tell, we did have to use our levelers on our site, but not bad. It was not difficult to level.
And each site has a picnic table, or at least most that we can tell, has a picnic table and a barbecue grill. They don't have a fire ring.
Actually, they don't allow campfires here, which is why they don't have campfire rings. But they do allow beach fires with a free permit, which is really awesome.
It's kind of neat. It also has 4 bathhouses with 4 showers each. They are only cold water. So in the summer that might be nice, but in April when it's still a little bit chilly, it's not so great. But they do have them.
There are 4 restrooms separate from the bathhouses with flush toilets. They're not pit toilets.
They also have dumpsters on site so you can get rid of your garbage, but there is not a dump station here at Frisco.
There are 2 boardwalks that are maybe about 1/4 of a mile long that go over the dunes into Frisco Beach, which is a beautiful, pristine beach, which kind of leads us to the proximity of things to do.
Yep.
The beach, it's a short walk to the beach. There's fishing, shelling, just relaxing on the beach. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, and that certainly is the main attraction here.
You can also get a permit to drive on the beach if you want to do that. If you have 4-wheel drive, it's pretty sandy, so I would recommend 4-wheel drive.
I believe it's $50 for the permit. Don't hold me to that, but I believe it's a 10-day permit for $50. And I think that it would be a cool thing to do because you could definitely see a lot more of the beach driving it versus walking it.
You're about 5 minutes from Frisco Village, which has some shopping, grocery store shopping and fuel.
Right, exactly. Just at the end of the campground road.
Right out the entrance. You can get fuel. There's diesel and gasoline there.
And they call it a grocery store. It's kind of like between a convenience store and a grocery store.
It's very
you know?
small, but if you need something, there's stuff there.
They were surprisingly well stocked, and that's just 5 minutes down the road. So that was really convenient.
There's also restaurants there. If you choose to dine out, you can go there.
Right. Now, we found in early April when we're here that a lot of that is still closed, but certainly as you get further into the season, I think there's going to be way more options available within a short distance of this campground.
Right.
You are 15 minutes from the ferry terminal that brings you over to Ocracoke Island.
And give yourself plenty of time if you want to take the ferry to Ocracoke, especially in the busy seasons. We've waited 3 hours coming and going. At times, so make sure you give yourself plenty of time with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know if that's the norm. This is our first time here, and so that was absolutely our experience one day. It took close to 7 hours between getting there and coming back. It was an exhausting day.
Yes. We are 20 minutes to Hatteras Lighthouse, which is a cool attraction here. It's also we're close to the graveyard of the Atlantic Museum. If you're interested in that kind of thing, you can go check that out.
Yep. Yeah, there are things to do here. It's not a ton of things to do. This is definitely the more remote end of the island here. But there are definitely things to do. But like we mentioned, the main attraction is certainly the beach. So we are about 70 miles or an hour and a half or so from the Kitty Hawk area, which is the more developed part of the island for sure. That's up where the Wright Brothers stuff is, and
the Wright Brothers Memorial's up there, and there's quite a few other things you can do there. So
absolutely,
if you want to make the trek from here, you can do that, or there is another national park campground up in Kitty Hawk.
Oregon Inlet, the one that we were telling you about. Okay, so Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi. Does not exist here.
But cellular connection is not awful. It's not great, but it's not awful. So we have both Verizon and AT&T. Verizon was definitely more spotty than AT&T.
At times unusable.
AT&T, we have a hotspot, and it was much more reliable with its LTE service. We
could stream videos on our iPads or laptops and had no issues.
So upload and download speed. For Verizon, upload speed was 1.03 and download speed was 6.59, but that is spotty.
Yes, again, that was very spotty. AT&T upload speeds were 4.38 and download speeds were 6.99, which we found to be plenty for whatever we needed to do.
Yeah, we actually uploaded a video from here.
It took a while, but it uploaded.
Now, if you only have Verizon and that concerns you, just a short drive into Frisco Village and the service became much more reliable.
Right. And also, if you get to the top of the campground, there's a higher ridge area. The service might be better there. We don't know. We were down at the bottom.
All right, so what would you say out of 10? What would you say for the campground?
I would give it a 6 out of 10, I would say, but it is a very nice campground, and the only reason I give it a lower number is because it's completely dry camping and it's $28, which seems expensive for no hookups, no water, no electric.
Right, and I would probably give it a higher rating than that, understanding that you're in the Outer Banks, you're going to pay more for dry camping because this is a sought-after area.
Yes.
And I would much rather stay in a national or state park campground versus the private campgrounds.
The private campgrounds are quite a bit more expensive.
Yeah, I liked this campground. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. Understanding that it is dry camping. You don't have any real amenities here. I will say, lesson learned, if we were to come back, I'd probably choose to stay on Ocracoke Island for a few nights versus take the ferry over and be a day tripper to Ocracoke.
Right. And if you're concerned about the ferries with your trailer, we have friends that came from the mainland to Ocracoke and had no issues with an airstream, which is typically lower to the ground.
Yeah, they're in a 28-foot airstream. They did not have an issue getting from the Cedar Point ferry to Ocracoke, and they're going to be moving from Ocracoke over to Frisco later this week.
And from what we could tell, driving on and off the ferry from Hatteras to Ocracoke and back, no issues there with the trailer, so don't be scared.
All right, guys, well, that's our review of the Frisco National Park Campground. hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please be sure to give us a thumbs up.
And if you want to follow along, make sure to check out our other videos and more campground reviews to come. Make sure you subscribe and click that bell to get notifications.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.